Welcome back with me, Tim Caple, to the Rock and Blues Experience. And coming up on this edition, we have Status Quo's original drummer, John Coghlan, who's going to join us. We're going to be talking about the just released Super Deluxe edition of Quo Live, which has been thoroughly reworked and now includes all three live shows in their entirety, as they were recorded in October of '76 in Glasgow. Plus, we're going to be looking back to On the Level. 50 years ago that was released. Remember, it delivered them their only number one single to date, which of course was Down Down. Now, before we get there though, Joanne Shaw-Taylor joined me recently to talk about her brand new album. It's called Black and Gold. It's out now. Here is a clip from that feature with Joanne talking about the recording process, which involved heading back to her favourite studios, the famous RCA studios in downtown Nashville. So were you back in the RCA studios, by the way?
We were, yeah, which I love.
Which is your favourite venue, isn't it?
Oh, it's so magical. I mean, it's just a brilliant room anyway. But then when you add in, Dolly Parton wrote and recorded I Will Always Love You and Jolene there on the same day. So I'm not a religious person, but there are some churches, particularly in like Southern Europe, you go in and those bricks that are hundreds and hundreds of years old hold something. Like, you feel it. It's a heaviness. It's the history that's been there before you. And I think RCA is like that for me. It's almost like a church.
Do you get those moments, when you arrive first thing in the morning, or when you're setting up, or when you're turning the lights off and
not first thing in the morning, because I'm very cranky and trying to wrangle Hank into the studio. But yeah, definitely, like, I love that hour of, say, like 5 o'clock. We usually get in about 10 a.m. and we're probably wrapping up for the day and just trying something fun that we might continue the next day, so the pressure's off and everyone's got a glass of wine and they turn the fairy lights on and it's like, wow, Waylon got drunk with Johnny Cash in here. I don't know why they let me in, but I'm very happy they did.
Well, Joanne living full-time these days in Nashville. So what's it actually like working and living in what is really now the music capital of the US?
I moved down here and there's so much creativity. When the people you're meeting for dinner are Joe Bonamassa and Tyler Bryant and Kevin Shirley and, friends that are in the industry, it's hard not to sort of keep that motivation going.
Yeah, it's funny because the next thing I was going to say was, is it because basically you live in what is now the music capital, which has moved really, hasn't it, from LA? And you wake up and you are cocooned in this creative environment. And, you literally live around the corner from Joe, don't you?
We are next door neighbours. I'm actually going over there shortly because there's a bird that's died on his patio and I want to get rid of it so it's not up there for 3 months before he comes up. But yeah, I mean, it's funny as well, Nashville. It's a big city, but it feels like a small town. And particularly because the blues or blues rock genre is quite its own little tight-knit community.
Yeah.
It is. And so many people have moved here. We all do kind of reach out to each other. So there's Joe and me and Marcus King and Tyler and Rebecca and Megan. Rebecca is married to Tyler from Larkin Poe. And obviously I have Hank now, so they're all very interested in seeing him, which means we get a lot more dinner dates than we used to, or invites than we used to.
Well, you can watch the full feature with Joanne. It's out now on the website, www.therockandbluesexperience.com. You can find it on the Facebook pages and the YouTube channel. Joanne, by the way, out on tour pretty much for the majority of the rest of the year. First up, some festival appearances, then a short UK tour in September before returning to the US to tour and close out the year. Head over to our website to find the details of all the live dates coming up. And just before we get to John Coghlan, here's a quick look at what is making the front pages of the music press this month. Now then, John Coghlan was, of course, the original drummer of Status Quo and was with the band throughout their most successful period commercially in the 1970s before he left in the early 80s. Now, Quo have just released an epic super deluxe box set of the live recordings from October 1976 in Glasgow. The release includes the full concerts from each of those 3 sold-out nights in Glasgow, as we said. And if you are yet to hear it or get your hands on a copy, I can tell you it is worth every penny. So it was a good time to check in with John from his home in the Cotswolds to have a chat about the release and the 50th anniversary as well, remember, of On the Level and that #1 single, Down Down.
Let's go back 49 years, 27, 28 and 29, October 76. And for starters, this had been a hell of a year live for you guys in the studio as well. You'd had another #1 album, Blue for You, and a tour schedule, which began in Europe, went through the UK, went to the US, came back for the summer, and then you had a couple of months off before you arrived in Glasgow en route to Japan and Australia. So by the time you got to Glasgow, were you all sort of feeling refreshed and raring to go after having a bit of time off?
I suppose we could have been, but you know, it's interesting. I just done an interview just now with some character here, and he asked me like questions back and years ago, and I'm thinking it must be great to be an encyclopedia because you could remember everything. And yeah, and we spoke. You know, it's interesting. We spoke about the Glasgow Apollo, where we did one of the live albums or the live album, and I remember me and Francis saying, did you notice the balconies, the 3 balconies? You see the balconies doing this with people jumping up and down? And so I'm thinking, well, you think, oh my God, I hope they don't break. And my dad was from Glasgow. My dad told me that used to be called Green's Playhouse. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was built by the shipbuilders, you know. So it was so strong.
Sure.
Yeah, because the thing we were worried about was if suddenly a dreadful thing happened, they cracked and, you know, people coming down. So it was well built. It's a shame that it's not there anymore. It's gone, the Apollo.
How excited were you when you got there at the prospect of recording this first ever live Quo album? I mean, it's a big deal for any band back then.
Oh, yeah. You know, you're worried about all the time thinking, I hope nothing goes wrong. I hope I remember all the songs, which you do, of course. You know, it's just that sudden fear of dare I forget to come in at the right place or do a terrible drum break and when you're not supposed to do a drum break. But it all went well. It was great. And it was a great place to be in Glasgow because we stayed in a nice hotel right close to the Apollo. And all the fans could look through the window and see us in the bar. And Bob Young, there's Bob Young, Bob Young, Jim, the chauffeur, me and Rick. And they wouldn't go. You see, the hotel locked the door so they couldn't come in. And they started taking pictures of us in the bar, leaning against the bar. And I think it might have been Bob or Rick said, I know, I got an idea. Let's drop our jeans now. So we all dropped our trousers. And of course, it made everything worse. And like 50,000 cameras going flash. And old Jim, the chauffeur, he was funny. He said, "Oh, John, don't tell Vera because she'll divorce me." It was okay. It was only your underpants, but yeah, a great day at Glasgow. It was 100%, 1,000% gig. It was just lovely. Love playing there.
When you look at how many live gigs you played, why did it take you so long to get around to doing the live album?
I really don't know whose idea it was. It could have been Bob Young. It could have been Colin Johnson Management. It could have been record company. Maybe I suppose the time was right, wasn't it? The time was right for it, I suppose. Did you enjoy it? Were we that good?
Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, it really was. I mean, when we say that you played a lot live, between 68 and 76, there was only 1 year, and that was in 1969, when you did less than 115 live gigs. And in 72 and 73, you racked up this epic 145 shows before it slowed down marginally to 80 in 76. But it's incredible how you managed to get it all in, as well as dropping an album a year.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing to think, because I suppose someone would say, "Oh, you know, are you going to get?" I remember someone saying to me, something years ago, "Why don't you get a proper job, John?" And I said, "Well, I work in a band, and it's gone back a long time ago, by the way." And I said, "Well, I suppose I do have a job, but I don't really look at it as a job. It's not my 9 to 5. It's work time is 2 hours on stage, if maybe a bit longer, but." You know, we really enjoyed it, and I still to this day enjoy playing drums because that's what I do, and it's good fun. And we were lucky to be, you know, we had Francis, Alan, and Rick on guitars. It was good.
Yeah, because I think you said at the time when somebody asked you this question about, you know, about live gigs and everything, and you just looked at them and said, you know what, we were just one of them bands that loved to play. We loved playing.
Oh yeah, well, it's great fun, and someone said to me a few years ago, "Do you prefer recording or playing live, John?" I said, "Being honest with you, it's playing to an audience. I love doing live gigs. It's just great fun." And I think you had in your system, you seem to need a little bit of exhibitionism in your system to, if you like, show off in front of a crowd that pay to come and see you, and it's just great fun playing drums. You know, I remember in the early years picking up one of the guys' guitars, and I don't know, I thought this just feels quite strange. And I got behind the drums. Oh, I'm at home now. Drums is where I am. You know, that's great. But someone said, "Do you play anything else, John?" I said, "No, just drums. I'm a drummer, and that's it." You know.
The objective was, at the time with this live album, as Francis and Rick said it at the time, he said, we wanted to prove to everybody that we weren't cheating. Nobody was making an album like this then, and nobody would dare to do it now.
No, I suppose.
Good quote, I thought.
Yeah. When did they say that?
This was, I think, I was looking back, it was an interview around the late 70s or so, and they were talking about, you know, the production of live albums because a lot of people used overdubs, and there was nothing.
No, you don't.
It was just you.
We insisted on not allowing overdubs because it's a live band, you know, that's what it is, and it's like the modern world now, you know, and someone said to me, "Oh, they've got a band playing on TV tonight," and the program starts, and you're looking at, "Oh, there's the band. Where's the drums? Where's the keyboards?" It's just 5 dancers, and they call it a band. Piss off! It's not a bloody band. Go and get a real job.
When you decided to do it, the live album, was Glasgow always the only runner as a venue, or were there discussions about whether you do it in, I don't know, Hammersmith or Liverpool or anywhere else, or was it just always going to be Glasgow?
Well, I think so. It was always going to be Glasgow because it was such a good venue and it was big and held lots of people, and I just think that was the one we all picked. I suppose it's gone back a long time now, but I suppose it would have been the one we picked. Otherwise, I suppose it could have been Hammersmith Odeon, maybe.
For people that have never been to that venue, and of course, as you said, it doesn't exist, what made it special for you?
I think Glasgow Apollo is one of those gigs. You don't sit in the front row, by the way, because if you do, you're looking up like that because the stage is so flipping high. It's always a bit of a worry of us lot, being on stage, because if you went too far forward, you're going to fall a long way down. But the venue itself was great, and there's something lovely about Glasgow, and well, as my dad was from Glasgow, I suppose I have to say that. But it's just one of those gigs, you knew it was going to go down well. You knew it was going to go down extremely well.
When you look back then, you often did multiple nights at the same venue. I mean, you'd done 3 at Liverpool on this tour. There was always a bit of competition at the time, wasn't there, from bands to see who could do the longest run of sold-out shows at a venue.
Well, I suppose in a way...
Remember that?
Yeah, I suppose in a way, to me get out of this one is... Well, I'm sorry, but we'd love to do a week, but our agent has booked us another venue tomorrow night, so we've got to go and do that, I suppose. But it's just... I just love playing at venues. It was great. Whether it's a small venue like the Marquee, which we love doing that in Wardour Street in London, that was great fun. That's gone, of course, and that's a bloody restaurant now. And then they moved it to Oxford Street, but then that wasn't the same. But then, anyway... I don't know. There's some great gigs. We've done loads of gigs in Europe, Scandinavia, Canada, States, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. And loads, just really good fun.
When that run of dates at Glasgow ended, you had a couple of weeks before you went to Tokyo as you ran out the end of the year. Did you actually have a chance before the end of the year to actually sit and listen back to those tapes together, or did you just hand it over to the engineers and just say, right, this is what we want, that's it?
Well, I suppose that you're right there. I think I don't think we listened to. I think we listened to it when it was all up and done. All recorded properly and whatever they do in the studio. But I just feel that was what we heard, and we loved it, and it was great fun. But having said all that, you see, I don't play much Quo at home anymore. I don't know why. I just don't. But just I remember Charlie Watts saying that he never played the Rolling Stones when he was at home, but I used to play a lot. The only time I play a lot of Quo stuff is if I'm sitting in with a Quo band, like John Coghlan's Quo. We're also playing down my local pub in Shilton, in Oxfordshire, August 31st, doing a set. But what I'll do, I'll listen to all the songs, I remember it, cause, I don't know, just one of those things, sometimes you listen to rock, it might be Led Zeppelin, another day it might be Cream, another day nothing, and some days, I'll just play some of the Quo track and play a couple of those, but that's about it, really.
So the decision to put the album out with no overdubs, nothing corrected, it was just as it was, the chance for fans to experience a real live Quo gig. It was a calculated risk, but it turned out to be very successful because it was gold and a platinum seller around Europe. It was a great idea to do it. It gave it a unique selling point because nobody else had anything like it.
No, that's right, and it was great. I'm pleased you said all that. That's lovely. I never really looked at it that way, but that was great. And I must say that Quo fans have been great, even up to this day. Many years they've been very lovely and polite to me and smashing. And I played in a garden in a Rose and Crown in Shilton last year, a band called Break the Rules, and all the Quo fans turned up. It was great fun, great afternoon, and they were lovely and polite again. It was great. It must be, when you think back to what it was like in the Beatles days, it must be they had to run down the street, run away, going to get attacked by girls. That'd be quite nice, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's always been on any list of the great live albums, but did it irritate you a bit that Francis hated it? And he never let anybody be under any illusions of what he thought about it. He said he recalled it the worst album we ever made. Every time I listen to it, all I can hear is the mistakes, and it's cringeworthy.
No.
But the fans loved it. But did it irritate you a bit that he literally brushed it off and it was, garbage.
Well, I think I saw an interview on TV once of fans going to a concert, and some guy from Holland who said, "I'm looking forward to hearing the mistakes." And I thought, well, that's good, isn't it? I didn't realise there was any, but live is live, and that's it. I mean, he said when we finished the reunion tour, the 2 reunion tours, he said, "Oh, it was great." Then an interview, he said he thought it was rubbish. Well, make your bloody mind up. And okay, if it was rubbish, why didn't we only rehearse 2 weeks? Why didn't we rehearse 3 weeks? Get it right. But there's only so much you can do. And I thought, well, I don't know, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was good fun.
Compare that to Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous, by the way. Great album, but the debate was always how much overdubbing was done. And I always remember buying, in the late 70s, an album by Judas Priest called Unleashed in the East, which was reviewed as Unleashed in the Studio. Yeah, the reviewers were never very kind, to the polished look and feel, whereas everybody was very kind to Quo's live album.
Yeah.
Because it was just, it was real.
Yeah, I just think it's 4 guys on stage playing. Andy wasn't there, was he? I can't remember. It's just 4 of us. And also Rick Parfitt was a great rhythm guitarist, and he showed me how to play guitar one day, and you see a tribute band going up and down like this, hit the strings up, hit the strings down, and Rick did every stroke was down, like, so if it's
every stroke's a downstroke.
Yeah, and that he must have had the strongest wrist in the world, yeah, it was good, and I just thought, and me and Alan Lancaster was great bass player. He worked his bass guitar around my bass drum. It depended on what song we were doing, of course. But it worked, and we worked songs out together, and it was good, and it was what it was. And I'm afraid if Francis doesn't like anything, well, do something else.
It was always thought that the tapes for the 3 shows had been lost, didn't exist, Sands of Time have taken it away. So when did you hear that this project was going ahead and they'd found all of the tapes and we were going to get this massive deluxe box set?
Well, I didn't hear what was happening. I suddenly arrived in the post and saying, "Oh, John, this is the live album, blah, blah, blah." And I played some of it. I thought it was great. And I thought, well, yeah, that's great. And why not put it out there? Why not? People can play it on CD, play it on their CD player, play it in the car. It's great. I thought, well, why? Don't knock it, for God's sake, But if you want to keep knocking things, do something different. Don't do Quo, do another band.
So what did you think when you got your copy and you put it on? I mean, you could obviously tell the difference in this. I mean, the sound is incredible, really. I mean, they've done such a great job with it. But what were your first impressions when you heard it?
Well, I remember talking to Mick Hughes, a guitarist friend of mine. He said he played it, and he said the drums were really loud. It was great. It's been remixed. So I played some of it. And I thought, well, yeah. It is nice, and I thought, well, this is great, and it's there forever for everybody to listen to, and I thought it was great. I thought a great idea.
I did laugh when I saw somebody say to Francis, and they asked him, "Have you actually listened to it all?" And he said, "Behave yourself. Who would want to listen to it all? Fuck me, that's dedication."
Oh. I know.
Great.
Yeah.
There are rumours, by the way, that the shows from Hammersmith in 79 have been found, and there's going to be more of these things turning up. Are you aware of anything else? Any other projects in the works?
No, I haven't been told about that. Of course, no one's told me anything. But I think that'd be nice. I'd like to hear it. The only thing I must go back to when talk about rehearsals, when we rehearsed it Shepperton Studios for 2 weeks. Of course, Shepperton is made for making movies, and the room we was in, big room, quite a huge room, was all had on the walls dampening, like soundproof dampening. So the drums were like that. Well, that's not a snare drum, that's a piece of wood. And I thought, oh, God. Anyway, so it was what it was. You know, we got on with it, and we did the rehearsals for 2 weeks, and it sounded okay. But I enjoyed it. So did Rick Parfitt and Lancaster. We had a great time. I'm not sure what Francis thought, but there we are. It was his idea for us to do it. So, and also I found out that when we finished in the last concert was Dublin, and when we did the last show, Rick Parfitt said, I want to carry on doing this frame. I want to carry on with John and Alan, and let's just carry on doing this. It sounded great. And Francis said, no, I don't do that. I'm not doing that. I got an idea, and he said, why don't you go and play with John and Alan, get someone else to do frames part, I suppose, and call yourself Status Quo PLC.
PLC.
It sounds like a bloody building society. Private Lancaster from Coghlan, you know. And I thought, well, that's like saying Beatles Part 2 or Beatles Reformed, Beatles something else. And well, you wouldn't do that, and that's not going to happen. And John's not there anymore, and I think, you know, I was a Beatles fan. I love the Beatles. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, poor old Rick had to put up with what they carried on doing, you know.
After that, the Quo Live album, then that was it. There was nothing else live until the NEC shows in '82. I mean, again, considering its success, were you surprised that there weren't, you know, some more live recordings made into albums before that time? Because one in 14 years isn't a lot.
No. Well, see, I left in '81, so the '82 with nothing to do with me. So I don't know who was playing drums then.
Yeah, the NEC show. Now, as well as the live release, right, which is fantastic. And the other thing about it is it's actually a relatively affordable price, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you ever see these Pink Floyd box sets or Rush do them and the Rolling Stones. They're hundreds and hundreds of pounds. That one is only, I think, it's $69.99 on Amazon, which is not the worst.
No, really, £69. Well, yeah, I suppose it beats it. It's a shame. Like the old, you go to a record shop in the old days, you walk in and see all sorts of bands. You flick through the albums. Oh, I'm going to buy that album. I used to do that. It was great. You know, buy albums like that. I've got quite a lot of albums still here, and I've got. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to play it on. The record player, as you call it, broke down. And I thought, oh. And I think we got something stored away somewhere that's a modern designs that. And I thought, okay, me and my wife will try and dig it out and play something, you know. But you know, it's I've got a big thing come up on my screen. It says, "Hi, Chris Cowan. Hi, sounds good. Hope lunch was suitably liquid." I've not been to the
That'll
pub
be
yet.
all right.
Yeah, I don't. Go on, carry on.
Now, as well as the live release, I just wanted to mention that this year it's the 50th anniversary of the release of On the Level, the number one album that produced your only number one single in Down, Down. Nobody really made much of it, but this was a hugely significant moment for you to have the album with the number one single. I mean, it's a landmark moment in the Quo story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Down Down was great. One of my favourite songs in the band. Lovely to play. Well, I suppose it's down to who's looking. Well, there's quotes, isn't it? Well, it doesn't, but I suppose it needs someone in the office to make an effort to mark that significant happening. You know what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, it depends who's going to do it. I don't think Francis would bother.
So, like with all the great tracks, there's always a good story, a backstory. Bob Young was interviewed, I don't know how many years ago, and saying that we started to write it before the first US tour. And he said, I sat with Francis and, I put a cassette in and just recorded everything that we were doing, the interaction about what we, how it began, the initial construction. And he still apparently, he said, has the cassette of those initial conversations. Have you ever heard it?
No.
That would be a great timepiece. Can you imagine sitting there listening to how the song was actually born? It must be an incredible piece of thing. But the riff, it's all about the riff and how it came up. And you were staying in the US in a less than luxurious motel on Sunset La Brea.
Oh, yeah.
Next door to the Copper Penny coffee shop and restaurant. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember it very well. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
They did apparently the best Reuben sandwich anywhere anywhere. But he came out and he said, I was in a hotel room and all the other boys were out sharpening their pencils. And they came back and I had the riff.
I think that was the first place at the Copper Penny we went in for breakfast. We wanted just English breakfast, or sausage, beans and chips, or not chips, egg and bacon, say. Well, have American breakfast. We don't want a bloody American. They said, where you guys from? London, England. Wow. Oh, John, have you met the Queen? And I said, no, I've not met Her Majesty, but I used to know a Queen. Oh my God.
The song itself then, Down Down, partly inspired by the 68 release of T-Rex's Deborah.
Oh,
you knew Mark Bolan, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, yeah. T-Rex.
From his very early days. What was he like in those early days?
He was okay with us. I think we played concerts with him somewhere, but he was fine, good lad. He played had some good songs out there.
And if you married that, Deborah, because I went back and listened to it today, and you marry that with the intros to Matchstick Men, you have the foundations for Down Down.
Really, I didn't know that. You just taught me something there, son.
And you recorded it then at IBC Studios in Portland Place.
Yeah.
Now, there is a story here. You can tell me whether this is true. That you were recording late into the night and all of a sudden a bloke in a dressing gown appears in the studio saying, "Do you know how loud this is?" Now, is that true, or is that somebody just made that up?
I don't remember that, but I remember we were recording in IBC, and there was this beep, 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 and it was a Chinese embassy next door sending a message. And I said I wish I'd said to the engineer in the studio, record that, we can send that to the government. Might be see what the Chinese are saying, something, or maybe they were saying, "What's this crappy song?" I don't know. Yeah, but the Chinese embassy was next door. I mean, who built the studio next to a Chinese embassy?
The original title for the album the song was going to be Get Down, wasn't it?
Get Down probably was, yeah.
But they changed it because Gilbert O'Sullivan had a song out at the same time. That was him on the piano with the big hair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Gilbert O'Sullivan, I remember that, yeah.
So it gets released as a single, released in December. And again, when you look back now, it's maybe not the track that stood out as a single, was it? Because for one, at that time, it was the longest track on the album. So you had Little Lady most of the time, I Saw the Light, Over and Done, Night Ride. Everything came before it. The whole of side one was overlooked. for this track that had to be shortened in the end. Were you surprised that was picked initially as the single release?
What, Down Down?
Yeah.
Not really. No, it was. Like I said earlier, I loved it. It was a great song. I thought it was good choice. So whoever picked it, good luck to them. It did well. Great song.
Yeah, and some, because it sold 250,000 copies in the UK alone. It was number one around Europe as well as the UK.
Yeah, right.
And you get the coveted number one, which means that you get the last slot on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
But you're not in the country. You're actually, on the night the Top of the Pops goes out, you are on stage in Marseille.
Oh, really?
So you missed, so you missed it.
Oh, never mind. Oh, well.
But did you enjoy Top of the Pops experience?
We excuse me. We loved doing it. It was good fun. It was the only thing is they're all day, of course, because they do 3 or 4 camera rehearsals, makeup, what you're going to wear on stage and all that crap, and go through the song a couple of times. Mind you, it was mimed anyway, as you know, because it was the only way to do it. 6 bands on. So if you want to do it live, everything's got to be mic'd up, and they've got another sound engineer. So it'd be the quickest way was just put the single on and mime to it. That was the easiest way. But we used to go upstairs and have a drink in the bar, and we had to. In those days, you had to have an escort from the BBC to take you up there. So I don't know what they thought we were going to do, for God's sake. I remember watching the Faces on Top of the Pops one night. They're going through their routine of their song, and with a football on stage, they're kicking a ball about. I thought, I think they may have been in the bar too long, Good for them.
Was there any competition? I mean, there was a great scene around then. You had all the glam rock boys, you had the hard rock guys. You were getting into the beginnings of punk. There was also pop and the American acts. I mean, you actually, by the way, knocked Mud off the top of the charts with Down Down. So you knocked old Les Gray and his Elvis impression on Lonely This Christmas. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So it's always nice to be number one. I suppose we did it once, and it's always a nice pleasure. Well, we've done it, we're number one, Down Down and all that. And but it was good fun. And I think it's a shame they've taken Top of the Pops off the BBC. They should have kept it. I suppose it wouldn't have been the same, would it?
No, and they got rid of the whistle test. And it's funny, actually, just after the release of Quo Live, I saw a clip of Francis and Rick on the old grey whistle test talking. Rick was wearing Kevin Keegan's number 7 England shirt.
Oh.
I bet you never knew that, did you?
I never saw it. I don't know about it, no.
And by the way, when you weren't there, obviously, for the Top of the Pops thing, God knows how they did it. I did see if I could try to find it, but I couldn't. But Pan's people danced to that track.
Oh, yeah.
Down, Down.
Yeah, we knew them very well. They were lovely, and I used to see what was her name? I can't remember her name. Bloody name's gone, but she was lovely and died a few years ago. But mine's not the same as it used to be. But they were great fun. We used to drink with them and chat with them, and I went out to dinner. I don't know, we had drinks or something like that. I don't. It's awful when you can't remember someone's bloody name. You remember it, but you're not thinking about it. Anyway, yeah. I remember doing.
You'll wake up at 2:00 tomorrow morning and go, "That's it. That's it." Now, in terms of a live track in the set, how was it for you? Rick, when he talked about this song and playing it live, said, "Yeah, it was always done later in the set, and we'd always have a little break beforehand, before playing it. Take a few deep breaths, because you've got to be right on your game to play this as it should be played."
What song was that?
Down, Down.
Oh, sorry. Well, I don't know, but it was. Well, they decided how the songs were running and set. We just wrote it all down. Oh, that do, that's great. Okay, we go for that. And that's how it was every night.
Was it a hard song to play at a mid or toward the end of the show? You know, when you consider the amount of aggression that is in that.
Well, I don't know, not really. It was. I found it quite easy, really, but it was a song I loved and I enjoyed playing that. I don't know. It depends on a lot of things, really, doesn't it? Travelling to the gig. Are you feeling okay? Are you up for doing the gig? Are you excited to do the gig? Some gigs are different, of course. That's just way life is. But yeah, Down was lovely to play. And I still like that song to this day.
Your old mate, the DJ, John Peel, loved it as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was he was a big fan of the band, and he loved that track in particular.
Yeah, I think he was good for us. He loved choir, and he played it when he was doing those radio stations in the sea and all that. John Peel, he was a good man. Yeah, he loved us. Sometimes he was it could have been Reading Festival, it could have been Lincoln Festival. He was there watching us play. He loved it, and it was great. It's good to have John Peel on side.
Yeah. So there we are. Then a quick update from you musically. What are you doing throughout the rest of the year? Now I know you've got a live appearance or two scheduled in. So what's the what's it looking like? When are you going to be somewhere where people can see you?
Well, there's a little gig in Shilton at the Shilton Rose and Crown Pub, August 31st in the afternoon, in the garden. We did it. I did it last year with a band called Break the Rules. It was in the garden. I was about, I don't know, you could get, I suppose, 500 people in the garden, a little tent. Anyway, I think there's a Lego Heads are playing as well. I think they go on first and we play after. But yeah, August 31st, Rose and Crown Shilton. It's near Burford, Oxfordshire.
Yeah. And you got the old Rockers annual lunch as well to look forward to. Who's in attendance at that these days?
Oh, was that in the Old Boys Lunch in London?
Yeah,
that was yesterday. That was Andy Scott and it's quite a few, but Noddy didn't turn up, and Susie Quatcher couldn't make it, and so it was a shame. But there's about 20 of us had lunch, and it was in this lovely little pub in Barnes, near Barnes Bridge Railway Station, and it was good fun. We've done that for years.
And lastly, then, would you like to get behind the kit for one more go with Francis and whoever's left?
Whoa!
Would you like to do it once more?
Oh yeah, it's always I'm used to banging away, mate. It's not a problem. Drums, I mean. Yeah, so it'd be nice, but like I said earlier, he's doing his thing, I'm doing mine. So there we are. Unless he suggests it, we don't know.
And if you ever fancied doing a spoken word trip around the place, because I mean
we've I think we'd love to.
You were there right at the start.
There was talk of it. There was someone wants to put some shows together. I've got to get Jilly, my wife, to get in touch with this character and do some shows. We've done a couple locally. Well, it's been good fun. I love talking about the past, and if I can remember most of it. But it is good fun, yeah. Why not? And we got a book out, the Spud book, which is doing really well. It's my life on the road with Quo and all that. If you stay there, I'll show you the book, mate. You stay there.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, here we go. They're heavy. There it comes.
Hold it up. That's a great photo.
Yeah, it's when I had hair. There's the back.
Love it.
That's the back.
And that is out and available now, isn't it? Because I've seen it in the shops.
Yeah. It's Gilly at gmail.com or something like that. I think it's on look on the website. So yeah, we've got those. I sign them all. Gilly posts them, and providing someone pays some money for it, then it's done, and it's a good book.
Well, that was John Coghlan talking to me earlier this week, and that Quo live box set is out and available now from all music outlets. Well, that is it for this edition of the show. Don't forget you can listen into all of the previous editions of the show on the website at www.therockandbluesexperience.com or on YouTube or Facebook. Once again, thank you very much for listening and watching in wherever you're watching in the world, and we look forward to having your company next time out. For the moment, though, from me, Tim Caple. Till next time, bye-bye.